Welcome to the Neuro-Performance Podcast with your host, Andy Murphy. Join us as we delve into the advanced high-performance tactics he uses with his elite clientele across the globe. Let's unlock a whole new world of business potential together.
Money without impact is useless, right? And I've seen these huge funds right now. That's what I created capital variation. I was like, okay, this is wrong. Like a lot of the thing, like money that goes from governmental entities, like pension funds, go through like the same funds all the time, and the same funds are funding the same, investments. And I had the dream when I was younger. I was like, how come the pension fund money goes to other countries, and that money goes to like fossil fuels and like guns and stuff? Because they're obviously given the return, right? But then there should be like at least a percentage of what fund managers invest into venture investing in SMEs in their country, because it's pension money. It's like you working 35 years. My uncle, my aunties, they're working 35 years. They're saving money for the pensions, and they're essentially and reinvest in the capital. But they're investing in like other projects that are dealing with fossil fuels and guns. And it's not a secret, like, let's be honest. Right? So why can they not put like a portion of that into actual SMEs into their own country and then deploy it into the young people who are actually building businesses? Why it's not happening? Right? Because they control it, right? Who controls it? The government, right? So I said, okay, the only way that I can change is if I build my own infrastructure and I steer the capital myself. So I took sovereign wealth funds, and then I said, this is the project, these are the funds that you should be investing, because it's the people, the young people, the entrepreneurs who are working day to day to make sure that they grow the economy. So why you're not giving percentage of that into your own people? Capital variation is throwing the biggest event of the year, 11th of December.
Yes.
Secret location, but it's going to be amazing. The first time in the history of like capital variation, 7 years, we've now built an app. So anybody anywhere in the world can download our app, can go inside, register, and then watch our show. So we're going to build Shark Tank, capital variation. We're going to bring 5 startups that are going to compete between each other in front of a judge, which is essentially investors. We're going to have 20 people in the audience. They can vote, and they can also invest in the startups. So we're going to transmit this live. We're going to have participated, and you could also come as well in person. So I hope that you can see you there at least. But
I will be there.
Yes, 11th of December from 2 p.m. onwards, there's going to be a show, and we're going to present 5 different startups where you can invest as well, if you want, and then we'll transmit that from the heart of Wall Street. First time ever in history.
In the first time in history.
And the location is iconic, but I cannot tell. But it's iconic, I'm telling you. 11th December, live. See you there. It's going to be iconic.
So I think the fuel source in you is you care. You care about what happens in the world. You care about what happens with women. You care about what happens with ecology, meaning like the actual planet. You care how you're treated. You care. And what I see is that okay, Neuro-Performance crew. So here we are, and you've had my kind of intro, and you know I'm super excited about today's interview. I really, really am. I'm going to go into, well, the official spiel first of all, and then we'll actually go and meet Margareth personally. We'll get into all of it. It's going to be a great, great interview. So yeah, wait to see the end. So today's guest, Lady Margareth González, and a distinguished global figure whose work span for financial, governmental, and innovation sectors across Europe, the Middle East, and Americas. Cool thing is, born in Colombia, but now dividing that time all over the world between London, Spain, Dubai, and New York. She operates at the strategic crossroads where capital meets policy, founders, family offices, and governments. And when I say this, you're going to find out so much about it, and you'll be you'll be quite shocked. And so as the founder of the CEO of Capital Variation, she advises and connects high-level stakeholders on investment opportunities across infrastructure, healthcare, real estate, sustainability, and technology. The difference, though, is a strategic capital matchmaker, dedicated to building genuine relationships. She's become one of the trusted bridges between visionary leaders and global investors. And one of the cool things that we're going to get into, Margareth, is that you were actually also a judge on the panel for AUM's Future Cities panel, which is wild. Prominent voice of women in global finance, and this was special, which I loved, a visiting professor. Shaping the next generation of leaders. She's widely regarded as one of the most influential relationship architects in the emerging global financial landscape. Welcome to the show, Margareth.
What a beautiful introduction, Andy. That was perfect. And it's exactly what defines us, me, myself, my company.
Defines you. It's you. It's about you. But do you know when I always get like and the interviewers always say everything about me, I'm like, oh wow, I'm pretty cool, really. I'm joking. You know? But yeah, that's the truth right there. And it's something we were discussing before the show. We'll jump into this because you've got a cool accent.
Thank you.
You do. And I'm around that Latin world, but what I didn't realize is you've got a cool accent for a few different reasons.
Yeah.
It's not just Colombian. You've got a few things going on in there. So give me where you've been living and your background and all the rest of it. And then we'll jump into real power questions.
Cool. Just to give you a bit of a framework, perhaps because of my accent. Born and raised in Bogota, Colombia. Lived in the United States from 12 to 15. Okay. Went back to my country where things were settled, but they were not. So emigrated on a political asylum to Spain, where my parents reside. Worked there, studied in hospitality sector, then lived and worked in Germany. So ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch auch. Du hast das vergessen. My nephews, my nieces are in Germany. So I go every year, and I had to talk to German. I have to speak German because I need a bond with them. Germany. Then I left. I went to the UK for a weekend, girls' weekend, and I never returned from Germany.
Really?
I love Germany. I go to Germany. Forget Germany. I lived in London, and London was my home for 7 years. Opened my company, launched Capital Variation. Brexit happened, pandemic happened. I said, what am I going to do here? Flew to Dubai, left everything not everything, but like I lived in Dubai for more than 4 years between London and Dubai, and then Singapore for a little bit as well. Okay. Went back to Europe. I lived in Cuba as well for a little bit, by the way. I studied arts and dancing in Cuba.
Of course you did.
Yes. And then the best part is that now, because of the Trump administration, I decided to make the crazy jump to expand the business in the US. And it has been the best decision I've ever made in my whole life, apart from living in the UK.
One of them.
Yes, one of them. Yes, correct. So far, so good.
That's awesome. So you're in New York, right?
Yes, not today though. This is Mexico. I'm in the jungle.
Yeah, that's my life. That's my world. I'm I love Montenegro. I'm in Montenegro right now, and I love this place more than I ever thought I could. Happiest I've been in a place in years, to be honest. But it's we're in winter, and I don't vibe with it. I need the sun. I need the beach. I need the ocean. It breaks my heart not to be in it, right? So this takes you back to your probably being where you are and showing us that view. It probably takes you back to your kind of Colombian roots, right? Because you've got that nature, that natural feel, very different to Dubai, and very different to New York. Although there's places. So let me ask you this: take me back to a moment a moment in 90s Colombia where you would explain why you care so much about financial stability and generational wealth?
Yes.
I asked this question. You've probably been asked a lot of questions, and hopefully I asked the questions you've never been asked today. But what I look for in a human is the default, what I call an emotional driver, that dominant emotion, which I call as fuel, that
Okay.
drives someone's belief systems, someone's identity. It's the fuel. Most entrepreneurs, unfortunately, use the wrong fuel. They're using scarcity or lack or ego to be able to drive them forwards to create success. It absolutely creates success, but the challenge with it is they're always running from that scarcity fuel. So decisions are made from reactions, it's accumulation. And I teach it like it's jet fuel. Jet fuel burns out. We're looking for a longevity fuel, something that will go forever. That's where I want to know from you. Because when you were in 90s Colombia, I'm sure, like I did with the UK, you use that darkness. I have to get away. But then that fuel has to change, right?
Yeah.
It has to change towards something. So what was the fuel, or what was the decision that got you away from Colombia?
Yeah, that's, I think, the main reason why I decided that I was never going to let what I saw as a child happen to me. Obviously, it was my parents, right? So
Sure.
my mom and dad, both entrepreneurs, both business owners, never had a boss. They owned real estate. They owned businesses. They lent money. It was like a financial institution back then, banking institution. Obviously, not like sophisticated like I am working with,
Sure.
But I saw my mom, and my mom and dad, they were always coming back home. But they had multiple businesses, and they lent money around our town. They had like media businesses, so they made concerts, right? So they brought like the biggest stars. Uh, Hence the reason why I have this little mark here. My mom and dad told me, you cannot go to this concert because you're too young. And I said, young? I'm going to jump in the car. I'm going to the back of the car. We had an accident because my parents were driving very fast. My dad like crushed against like the wall, and I was not allowed to be in the car because they told me you cannot come.
Oh, you hid.
Yeah, we crashed, and I was in the back, and my parents didn't know I was there. But I have this here.
I
Honestly,
like
I'm
the scars. Scars are good. Tell the
yeah.
story, right?
Sorry, we went to another direction. But
Hey.
my point was like I saw my parents always like entrepreneurial. They always make business. They had businesses in many different sectors, and they were always like making a lot of money. And I always come, my mom and dad will come to our table, and they'll just like, okay, how much money do you think it is here? My sister and I. And we're like, oh, maybe like a million. And like 1.5. Whereas get closer again, it's like $20 to go, $20, like, or something similar in pesos.
Yep.
To go over with your friends on the weekend and stuff like. So we're like 1.5. So it was like a party, like counting money and everything. Honestly, it was like that crazy. And
Wow.
and my parents were like, yeah, okay, market's closer, you get the $20. Yeah, so it was never a problem because there was always money. But there was a lot of, there's a backstory as well. We used to get phone calls like at midnight, and my parents used to be like, oh, there they go again. And I'm like, already they're calling. Yeah, to tell us like, we know that you made this business, we know how much money you made. Tomorrow at this location, you need to wake up, we're gonna pick you up, we're gonna put heads like, they used to
Yeah. Like mask on. Yeah.
asks, yeah, like bus, and then we're gonna pick you, and then don't ask any questions, just take 1 million and put it there. And this was the stories. I've never said this in public, so this is, you're the only person
Oh, wow.
in public. But so it was like
Wow.
that. We always had, there was no problem with money, but there was always like these people calling us and telling us that we need to drop money here, or we need to give for the cost, or we have this commitment that we had to participate on the weekend, and we had to come with money. And my parents, yeah, well, you have to, because if you didn't, they will just kidnap my sister and I, and they will follow us. So we had like obviously we had security guards and everything like
Oh,
with us
sure.
in Colombia to make sure that we're not kidnapped. Um, but this was like kind of our day to day, and so for me, it was not like something even out of this world. It was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're taking us.
normal.
Yeah, and then the news and everything. It was, oh, they're kidnapping this. They put like a bomb car, in the corner for in Colombia, and you could be the next. Be careful, stuff like that. So I was like, oh,
Yeah,
which is crazy, right? To think about
very
this.
crazy.
It's
Thinking
crazy.
back, right? Thinking back, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like now I'm like, it makes you nothing happens. Or like in London when I leave there was like so much security. I'm like, I was, but this was our childhood.
Yeah.
Very, very
Yeah.
dysfunctional, right? And
Yeah.
so obviously when I left the UK, the Colombia, and I lived in the US, I was like, wow, this is how it actually works. Like people are safe here. And kids
I
have
see.
education, and nobody is running and or picking up the phone and thinking they're gonna rob them or so. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love this
Yeah.
life in America. I lived there with my sister
Where in
in
America?
Miami.
Oh, in
So,
Miami as well. Okay. Of
yeah, my uncle
course, the
emigrated.
Latin vibe, of course.
Yes, my uncle emigrated. I love my uncle. He's my biggest supporter. Uncle, if you've seen this, I love you. He lives in Miami,
Yep.
and he made the jump, and he was the first one person to leave Colombia. Um,
Mm,
and then there was a time where my mom called my uncle, and he's like, they're persecuting us again. Alvaro, I don't know what to do. And my uncle was like, just send the girls, like right now. So he especially wrote a letter for us. We went to the embassy. But the truth was that there was a point in time where my mother was called to the mountains to meet like the chief of, paramilitaries. That was,
yes, yes.
we were persecuted by 4 different groups: paramilitary, ELN, um, guerrillas, FARC. It was like,
Wow.
not even one group, but you keep one group. You take 5 different groups, and you're like, okay,
That's intense.
going to.
I've been there. I know what they're like over in Colombia. So
It's not like a normal
not a
group.
game.
No, this is like proper. They're like armed groups filled with guns
Oh,
and
yeah. The military groups.
military. Yes, military,
Yes.
literally. And
Yeah.
everyone has a cause. Why are you doing what you do? And because I have a cause to lead Colombia, which makes no sense at some point. So they
Mm.
called my mother. They're like, you need to be ready to in the morning with my dad. So they went to get my mom was the one who was always like in front. My dad was like, I can't, my mom was like, come on, you get the girls. So she was called to the mountains, and they told her, we know what your capacity is, and you're gonna have to continue giving us the support, the money, and everything. If you don't do it
Wow.
right now, and this is the commitment, this is the letter and everything. And she's like, I have no more money. I've given you everything. She sold the house, she sold the businesses, they sold everything. We were living day by day. And they're like, well, now you have to be part of the gang, to the group.
Holy
You
shit.
have to work with us, and because we know your capacity is. And she was like, no chance, no chance that I'm gonna be part of this. I've already given you everything. Kill me if you want. And they were like, and then she's like, you have two options: kill me and to get nothing, and my family and everybody, or give me the opportunity to leave and then forget about everything here,
Wow.
and then I'll cooperate with you, but in a different way. And they were like, how are you going to do that? And she's like, I will rearrange some of your thinking and beliefs and everything, and then work with you towards your mission. And that kind of kind of light up their brain, and they're like, okay, you have a couple of weeks to tell us what you want to do. She obviously didn't have idea what she's going to
Sure.
do, but she
Sure.
kind of like said
Got to
that,
do something.
save, yes, to save us. And then she said, well, I will let you know in like within 2 weeks time what I'm going to do for you and how we're going to help you cause, but please protect my family, do not kill them, rob them, or take them anywhere. So they're like, took a gun, put it up in the air, fire up, and they told her, run for your life with my dad. And they run all the way to the mountain, down, 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 down. They walk home from the mountain to the home, and they saved, their lives. But she had a mission, right? She's like, okay, what am I going to do for these guys now? Like they're asking me for multiple things. And 2 weeks time, she went to the embassy. She gathered all the money that she had, and she talked to like mayors and everything. And they're like, please help my daughters leave this country
Wow.
on a political asylum. And she talked to everybody. We went to the embassy like without any appointment or anything. I remember with my sister and everybody. And she's like, I'm not leaving the embassy until you take me and my daughters out of here.
Sure.
And she showed the letters, because it was like blood letters that they wrote, like multiple blood letters, and like, you know, calls and emails, and well, not emails back then, just like
Yeah,
letters.
sure.
So once in the embassy, they're like, yeah, this is an emergency case. Here's your stamp, please. Here's your political asylum status. Fly to Spain. And they
Wow.
decided in Spain.
That was how you got to Spain.
That's how I got to Spain. Political asylum.
Wow. That's a journey. Does
Yes.
that leave scars?
Very. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know you've been flu, like we kind of like being flued everywhere, right? So when we were children, like we had to also multiple times like travel between towns, not only Bogota. We had to go to Cartagena, we had to go to different, so we don't get caught. Yet we're still giving money. Then we flew to like America with my uncle, came back when everything was okay, and then we have to immigrate because we're gonna get killed and kidnapped to
Same again.
to Spain. So of course, and you're a child. I was like, when this all happened, I was between 8 to 18, right? 10 years.
Yeah, the very informative years. Yeah, for sure. That's a socialization period. That's what's happening in the brain, right? And
Exactly.
so,
And that's
yeah,
when, as a child, you need to have like nurture, like you need to be nurtured, you need to be taken
sure,
care, and you need
sure.
to be in an environment where it's like get. Obviously, my mom and dad, you know, you can imagine like making money, surviving, paying bills, like making sure you not get kidnapped, or you know, and be a good parent, you know. At the
Yeah,
same time, my parents were, you know, I sometimes I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't ask any questions of my sister,
right.
because they're like, you study. And we're like, yes, sir.
Yeah. Is your
That
sister
was
older or younger?
1 year older. She has
Okay.
3 children, Germany. But
Wow.
that's what my parents, they're like, the only thing you need to do, and that the only thing, don't ask any questions, just be good at school, study.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, thank you.
Okay.
I will.
Don't like school, but okay.
But yeah, I was like, what do I do in school anyway? So, and I was like quite smart. So from first year to I was speed up from first to third. Sorry, what was it? From first year to third year, they put me.
Okay.
Was too smart. They're like, yeah, she's too clever. Like she's get too stressed, and
Getting
yeah.
bored.
Yeah. She's like, oh, she's not gonna be here. She's not gonna stay here. Put her in third grade so she can think and like solve bigger problems. So I was often kind of like gifted in that way, but
Good.
also I couldn't really have like that, you know, when you're not in a safe environment, you're not like, you know, stable.
Absolutely.
You don't give the best of yourself. You're kind of always like,
Your nervous system's so dysregulated. Your
it's
nervous system's a wreck. So it takes so much energy to maintain you. That's childhood trauma, but that's trauma in general as well. But especially when the brain's developing, especially when the nervous system's developing, if you're not got that safe, nurturing environment, it affects you,
yeah.
right? So when you look at your parents right now, what's the first image and thought and feeling that comes into your head about them?
I still have trauma, right? And
I could hear it.
yeah, and I openly speak about this for the first time ever in a podcast, because I think a lot of people struggle with it, and you cannot talk openly. And I've hear more stories, and it makes you feel better. Like you have trauma. I have trauma. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Sure.
And the results of all of these things is because it reflects in the business. It reflects in my private life as well. You know,
Right.
I'm super intrigued and like neuropath, and because I'm now working with AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Yes, I saw.
Yes, with Dr. Ben Goetzel, who is one
I
of my
saw.
raising money for him, and we're working a very top secret project for
Oh, I'm
human.
sure. Oh, I'm sure.
When we talk about neuroscience and LLMs, and
Yes.
everything that comprise like human level intelligence into a machine. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what happens in the human brain.
It's exactly the same thing. Well, it was
Yes.
developed, AI was language learning models, was developed from neuro-linguistic programming. NLP is also, it's a different phrase in AI, but NLP is what my background is, neuro-linguistic programming. It's how I learned to sell. It's how I learned how to create change in anybody, working with the subconscious, working with neuroscience. That's what my whole life is.
Wow.
So yeah, the AI fascinates me too. I'm deep in that world too, but not as deep as you, obviously. But
Well, I'm
yeah,
learning.
the brain works exactly like that. It works very much like a muscle, right? So
Mhm.
neuroplasticity. So when you've experienced what you've experienced about, it sounds like you've used that fuel, like we were talking about at the start, to drive you to create success. The
Mhm.
challenge is it's you end up stumbling forwards because you're having to stay one step ahead of what's behind you, right? So it's like does that make sense? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. I understand.
the you're lifting, but it's like the weights are pulling you. The lifting, but these weights
Wow.
are pulling you. Unless we cut those weights, that's
Okay.
when you accelerate.
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, kind of it's because I deal with like so many traumas, right?
Like my challenge with therapy also is this. We'll talk about therapy and psychologists and all the rest of it. And there's different ones for different things. But when you understand the brain works like a muscle and you
Mm-hmm.
start going back talking about past traumas,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think you're doing to the muscle? You're building it. You're making it bigger, thicker, and stronger. You shouldn't be just going talking conversation about all your traumas. It's lighting up the neurochemicals in your brain. It's lighting up the nervous system responses. No, we have to change identities and go back in a very protective way. But we don't want to sit there. We want to heal this fast,
Yes.
recondition the nervous system, the brain. We don't need to go back over. Do we need to understand it? Sure. Do we need to sit in it like therapy does for decades? It's like, yeah. Why I've fixed abuse victims, rape victims, I've fixed everyone you can imagine like this. Because
Wow.
it's like I just do things differently, right? And so it's so yeah, you don't need to go. You haven't got time for trauma, like to go back and so you haven't got
No,
time
I
for trauma.
can't. I don't have
No,
time to get sick. I don't have time to go to therapy. I
no,
don't have time to go and like do things that are not really adding value to my day to day. I mean, but
exactly.
my mom and my sister, my parents, they're all like, Margaret, you need to take therapy because very recently also my sister was, as you get older, if you don't heal your trauma as a child, it converts into your daily life and then you pass it
Sure.
to your children. So my sister
Genetically, yes, you do. You do.
it's in it is in the system.
It
And then
is.
you end up giving to your kids without even realizing. Oh, so she had children, and she
Yeah.
had to do a lot of things. My CEO,
Yeah.
she's also like my sister. And I work with her because we work
Oh,
very, very good. We
good.
understand the brains, but
Good.
she told me you have to do this.
Well, there's a difference what you're looking for, and your sister's trying to help, and everyone's trying to help. But the key word is therapy. You're not looking for therapy, you're looking to be fixed.
Yeah.
Then see the difference? It doesn't matter what the modality is, you're looking for the result.
Mm.
There's a difference. The result doesn't have to take a long time to start going from here to here to here to here, right? And it takes a lifetime to be, that's the soul's journey, right? This is all this is. But there's ways to do this like a true high performance way, is what I'm trying to say to you. There's
Yeah.
other ways. But let's move on from the trauma.
Yeah. Okay, let's next company.
so, um, so what I love about you is that you're on a mission, because being a Latin woman, being a woman in finance, being a woman doing what you're doing, you must have put up, especially in like, you must have put up with a lot, is what I'm gonna say, right? And I feel that because of where you're from and your genetics, but also what you've been through, that's why you're tough as nails,
Yeah.
right? And you just keep going.
Yeah.
But I can also imagine some of the aftermath I can also imagine some of the comments, the way you've been treated, business deals. I can also imagine, I'm just reading patterns, but I can also imagine the amount of people that said yes to you, but then just strung you along and didn't care because the man wasn't closing the deal. Am I on path with this?
Everything is correct.
Yeah.
You can imagine it just the way it is. It is.
Yeah. So what do you say to yourself in the middle of the night when you haven't been able to sleep because someone's been an asshole?
Every day.
Yeah, every day. Every day.
I be yes. So maybe first things first, right? So you mentioned genetics, and you mentioned Latin, and you mentioned woman in business and finance. You can imagine being a distractive, attractive, smart, and direct, efficient. It comes with pros and cons.
Sure.
Some people, some men in business, which is 99%. All of my clients and all of my people, like my investors, are predominantly men. This is way.
Oh.
It's about sometimes there's this type of people or type of men that really like admire you, and they're like, wow, she's super incredible and super smart.
Sure.
But then there's the others who are like, I'm so resentful for her because she's in business, and for sure she get everything because she's a woman and she has nice everything and she has a pretty face. That's the top. And then you get also like some women, but I never really have a problem with women, I think. But sometimes it's about like, okay, she's a woman, why she's doing this? Like she should be in the kitchen with the men, and she should be like, being a wife. So there's like these different elements, and obviously this reflects, but it doesn't happen too much now because I deal with it in a way, in a diplomatic way. Whereas when I started with my company, I remember going to these conferences and I was like, how do I close this deal? It's like, I'm nice, but I really want to be nice to the person so that he doesn't like shout at me or like tell me I'm who I am. So they'll end up like inviting me for dinner, drag me along for like 3 hours, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, are we closing this deal or what happened? Yeah, I wanted to spend some time with you. And I'm like, yeah, that's not the reason why I'm here. Do you understand? So that obviously minimized, that has been minimized 99%, right? Now I'm like I'm a businesswoman now, right? So I can
imagine.
I can smell bullshit, right? Really far. So, but then I think about all the women that start in their businesses and they have to go through all of these things themselves. Hence I'm writing a book, I'm doing a movie, and all of these things helped me a lot because a lot of women they feel identified but they don't really talk about it because it's embarrassing, and it's embarrassing. Like I remember when I started my company in Monaco, and some man used to just kind of like, oh, yes, I want to talk to you, this is interesting, that this I want to invite you on a 3-day retreat, something. I'm like, yes, let's talk about it in the office. And they're like, yeah, I'm not interested, thank you. So obviously that happened because they didn't know how to actually maneuver the situations, right?
You didn't know how to control the boundaries, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to close the deal, and I want to be nice, and I really want to do this, and I want to pay my bills. And they like took advantage of that, right? So, but now it's obviously like, look, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to make you money. I'm going to make myself money, and these are the rules. If not, no problem. Next. But like this has been like evolving as you grow as a person, as you grow as a business. Now, present in London, Dubai, in New York. And so now, like I was like in New York City, and I was about to close this deal in Chinatown, and then there's these 5 businessmen. They're coming from all corners, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna raise money for this Formula One circuit, and blah blah blah. And one of the guys is like, oh, you look prettier by the hour. And I said, oh, okay. And the other one was like, oh, you speak very fluently English for your country. You speak very well. And I was like, yeah, I was educated in United States, UK, and Asia. And I speak 3 languages. How many do you speak? Oh, yeah, I've never been outside the US. I'm like, I can tell. So he's like, yeah, I'm talking. I'm like, he said something about India or something. I was like, yeah, that's in Africa. That's Nigeria, not India. So, like of course this makes me angry, but also makes me stronger, right? But I think
Sure.
about all the women that go through the same state, the same, and I'm talking like pure business here. I'm like going to raise $100 million for a project that is going to be generational wealth, and this ask
Yes.
talking to like this, I'm like, no, I will never work with you, and I wouldn't even want to give you money to like put into society. You don't deserve it, right? But this is inside of me. I'm like talking all of
Sure.
this inside
Sure.
me, and I'm like fueling inside. um but that's why now I just kind of like, okay, I want to meet the person who they really are. Would I work with them? Because I can steer a lot of capital. I could just call a sovereign wealth fund or like a pension fund and be like, yeah, I have this project, I think we should sit down, and that money will be steered to that specific project. But if the founder is an asshole, like, no, thank you, no, next. I'd rather give it to somebody else. So it's a lot of like learning curves, and there's a lot of ways to maneuver and be diplomatic in many different situations. um and before I just like walk away, like, no, I don't want to do this. But now it's more like, okay,
Yeah.
let's do it educationally and diplomatically so that they can change their mind a little bit, right?
Now you work with the psychology. Now it becomes a game. Now it becomes a chess match to see if you can put the right pieces in the right place, right? Because it doesn't matter anymore.
No.
That's the difference, right? You are the prize. You've got what they want. It's
Yes.
different now, right?
And it
Before it
changes,
was like,
dynamic changes, right? That they start respecting you more.
yes,
Then they're like,
yes,
oh, okay, Margaret built an infrastructure of global investments of 20,000 investors, which is translated into 3.1 trillion USD AUM. So you're dealing with somebody from Colombia who speaks English properly and has a network of more than 3 trillion of AUM. Let's sit down and have a conversation where you respect women in finance, in business, right? Not like that little girl who had like the company and that vision in
right.
one day where they just kind of wanted to drag her along for dinner.
Sure, sure,
I'm
sure.
very grateful, and I'm like so empowered, and I'm very, happy for what I did, for what I'm doing and building. So I think like the legacy now, it's about legacy right now. It's about like how I'm going to be able to put this in a very nice package and then throw it
Beautiful,
to the world and the women who start
beautiful.
businesses, or men, it doesn't matter. But that's a legacy that you create and empower other people to actually believe that they can do this, and then actually, translate it into their success, because I went through that, right? So
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. So when I said before, well, I'm looking for emotional drivers, I took you to the early one, and then I poked that one, and you bring that one, right?
yeah.
All intentional. But the point is, now we're heading towards what you want. See the fuel? It's so different, right? So different. But that now is so powerful because it's
Mhm.
like you've learned how to harness that feminine energy, but also the masculine side of you in a good
Yes.
way, right? But then it's like there's different versions of you. And there
Yes.
has to be, but there has to be, right? This is what we call identity shifting. Okay. So the identity that you've built, right? I do these all things intentionally, but the identity that you've built for business cannot be the same version of you at home,
No.
relaxed. It cannot be the same one in your relationship. It cannot be the same one as you're hanging out with your family, right? Or your friends. These are all different hats that we put on, roles that we play. If we don't learn how to shift them, then what happens is the wiring in the brain gets linked together. It becomes very messy. So what
Yes.
you've learned how to do, like I'm looking from a technical aspect, but you're just like, nah, this is who I am when we're going to do business, dude. Just behave. This is what it is. Do you want this or not? Right? And then you're chilling in like Tulum. Well, that's this state. So you've learned to separate these things, right?
But it also it's damaging as well, I'm like, honestly speaking and openly, yeah, it's damaging, because I remember like some of my past relationships is like, oh my god, she's too strong, she's too masculine in the relationships, right? With like personal life and with my family also, she's too, my sometimes that scared me, and I'm like, this is not my intention. I just think I'm like right, but it's not. Like, it should be relaxing.
But
I'm so used to being like that.
yeah, I think I get what you're saying, right? So I think what let's go back into therapy, but not therapy, right? But what comes through, like, so we have the whole and we have different parts inside of the whole. The key
Yeah.
element inside of it, which needs to be unlocked even more, is just heart coherence. Heart coherence means you can be powerful in business, powerful in a different way in the relationship, powerful in that. So you don't have to be weak anywhere, but there's a difference between being alpha in business and difference between being heart-centered because in business because you care about the project. But there's a difference, right? Difference between I care about my partner, that's softer, right? Your family, that's softer, but it doesn't mean you don't have to control boundaries still, right? It's just different types of strength. Not everyone can handle a strong woman. A guy can't, right? It's like it takes a very strong guy, and I don't mean alpha, although it is part of that. I mean someone who's very self-aware and like the more whole and complete and understands it, that they can appreciate that power. They don't want to fight with you with that power. They're just like, go for it.
Yes. And there's a lot
You know?
of dynamics in like and in jealousy as well, right? So like jealousy is like it's very hard for a man to be able to be with me, for example, if I'm like having 8 different meetings with 8 different men who are billionaires. It's
Sure.
hard, and
Oh,
I
I
think
can understand.
me, if I have a boyfriend or husband and he's dealing with like millionaire women and they're all super smart and clever and like rich, of course it's going to be like I'm gonna feel. So I understand them as well. So I think it's learning to kind of cope with that. It's tough.
But it's more it's learning to cope with it, but I think it's way more deeper than that.
Yeah, of course you need to be the whole. You
It's
mentioned
one word. It's one word. Trust.
trust.
It's trust. If you're with someone and cannot trust them, then you shouldn't be with them. And
Yes,
every day should be in reinforcing that trust with each other. Because you're also only going to be with a guy who is also successful.
of course it needs to be.
Right?
This has to be. I weigh my thing so I can respect him.
Yeah, or on a mission. And you might be like, you might find yourself being the money person in the relationship to a degree.
I think
But
so.
but it doesn't matter,
No.
right? Because as long as someone's driven towards building something and that person's driven towards building something, then you support each other's growth constantly, right? And
Yeah.
because everyone comes to Earth for a very specific reason, not everyone's the same. You can't ever play the money game with somebody because there's always someone a billion, trillion, zillion times richer, right? Dubai 101. How big's your car? Right? It's like, how's your number plate? Oh, I've got a 1 on my number plate. Okay, well done. What the hell does that mean, right? Who cares? Are you helping the world? Are you you create
Yes.
impact? Most 99% of entrepreneurs miss that bit.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
100%. And I did had a conversation with the New York Stock Exchange. So I'm dealing with like really powerful people, and I
Sure.
look at their eyes, and I'm like, why do you wake up in the morning? Like, what drives you? And there is nothing. And I'm like I ask these questions, right? And that's why probably they think like, what is she talking about? I'm like, I'm serious. Oh, money, of course, money. And I'm like,
Money.
yeah, but like, what's your underline? What's your actual fuel? Money. I'm like, got it. But like, why? Your children? They're like, no, money. I'm like, got it. Okay, money. Let's focus on money. Okay, fine. But it's.
Mm.
I think like a lot of people nowadays who are successful and rich and generational wealth more than not. There's no fuel. There is no underline. It's just capital and it's just paper. Um, I feel that that's very sad because there is no wholeness into like their, you know, drive.
Yeah,
So I just feel like
it is
they're
sad.
it's kind of like leaving and passing by. Like,
It is
yeah,
sad.
it's a new day, and like, yeah, I just go to
It's a
my,
waste of a life.
yes, I'm going to my Rolls Royce. I'm going to have like dinner with my friends, etc. Lunch, do my work. But are you happy really with what you're doing? Are you proud?
Fulfilled.
Yeah, are you fulfilled? Do you feel like cool for
Right.
you as a person? Like, you
Do you
know?
feel cool as a that's
Yeah.
yeah, right? Do you love yourself? It
Yeah, are
sounds
you
like
proud of who
cheesy
you are?
stuff, but it's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
And a lot of the time, like a lot of my clients, when I work with them for like, so I do 1 year contracts if it's like above 25 million.
Okay.
They start seeing all of the things that I do, and I kind of integrate that into like some of like, I'm actually doing this philanthropy event. Would love to host you, love to bring you there, and they change. Sometimes they change, and sometimes they start doing like the things that we are part of it. But
What's they
you
do?
have to be, I have to be a leader. Like I have like responsibility to my clients to make sure that, you know, they only invest in what I do, but also like kind of like advise them and also
Yeah.
influence them, right? And
Yes, yes.
and
But that's
sometimes,
part of your role. That's part of your role because that knock-on effect, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and you don't know ultimately know what you're here for. And
mm,
this creates a sphere of influence, and this creates ripples from the top down. So who knows by the time you get to the end of your life and look back on what you've
yes,
actually accomplished, right? And it's well, we activate mirror neurons is what's happening in the brain. So when you're around these people being your way, authentically you, the
yeah,
brain replicates whatever it is around the most. It's like watching a horror film every day, right? How are you going to be thinking by the end of the month? Like a weirdo, right? But if you
yeah.
watched everything about I don't know, whoever you like, right? Elon, right? You might hate or like Elon, but if you watched anything about everything about Elon,
Right.
right? By the end of that month, how are you thinking about business? How are you thinking about money? How are you thinking about problems, expansiveness, what's possible? And so, them being around you, they start to unconsciously replicate or model your behaviors. Your behaviors are automatic, it's who you are, it's not you trying to be this way. So, that they don't even know it's happening.
Oh,
Their literally brain is replicating. Now we can take this into persuasion this way, and we can actually teach this stuff a different way. But you, by being you, the more amazing people that you're around, the more amazing people will replicate off from you, and you will replicate from them. So it makes you a more amazing, it makes them a more amazing. That's the whole point.
right. And I'm lucky because, you know, I call it luck. It's not luck. It's a lot of work. You know, to be able to
It's a
be
lot of work.
it's a lot of work.
A lot
But
of
to
work.
be able to be part of these circles, like
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
wealthiest people in the world, family offices that control generational wealth for centuries. Like you work, right? High net worth individuals, millionaires, billionaires. Um, they wouldn't want to spend time if I don't add anything and
No,
value on
no.
what they're building. And I would spend some time with people that are not valuing me, right? So I have to, it's my responsibility to be ahead of the curve, to
Yes,
like be learning, always be like adding value to my network. I was saying that they, you know, you could work with any other introducer in like financial company, you know, commission based, but are they really bringing you the value that you are actually seeking as opposed to just pure capital? Are they doing
right.
a good job? Are you integrating to with what they're building, right? So it's my responsibility as a business owner and like as a human being to add value to my network of family offices because it's in my interest, it's in their interest, but at the same time, we all want to be. You, there is a reason why you create a company, and there's a reason why you want to be the number one, you know, person in the world in human intelligence, right?
Sure.
They their intellect is way above, you know, anything that's been built, but they worked 20 years in that sector, so I
Yes.
add value to what they're building. I need to have respect, right, for what.
Yes. And they do have to have respect. And I love that. So let's go there. Let's strip away the title. CEO, founder, professor, which I like. I like that. Um, who are you? Really? Like in your own words, maybe give me 5 words. Who are you? Truth is like, I'm going to use that word, but you're not allowed to use that word.
Okay.
Throw you on the spot.
That's a tough question.
It's a tough question. Give me 1 word. If someone was to meet you, right, on a beach, say we were hanging out in Tulum and I'd never met you, right?
Okay.
And then we're just walking down the beach and I get it, hey, I like your vibe. You like me, vibe. And then it's like, you're not allowed to say anything about business.
Work.
You're not allowed to say anything about work, yeah, or your network or what you're doing. And you were to go, tell me 1 word that describes you.
Kind. Yeah, I'm a kind person. I care. I'm happy. I am positive. I'm hope.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's poems, right? But it's hard to tell.
All those words I get from you, like in every capacity, right? And probably not everyone does, right? depending on what identity you're
People
in.
be like, money, she's the money girl.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know about her. She's a little intense, but it's like, but that's the reason I love to do the way interviews I do, and I like to get to know someone, right? And it's not like we mentioned like business strategy. I've got 1,000 questions for you, but we got to know you. Maybe I got to know you, and we got to know each other, right? But it's like those are the words, and caring, I think, is the thing, right? That fuel source that's driving you to help women to do ethical finance deals, to grow the world. That's why you're leaning into deep with AI, because who you're working with isn't just a normal person in AI. They're like, you know, I
I
understand.
have conversations with him every day, and I'm like,
What are you even saying?
yes. And sometimes he even goes further, like without even me saying, and I'm like, oh my God, he's so smart. He's like the first person that understands me, or like even go 3 miles, 100 miles,
Brilliant.
you know,
Brilliant.
for me. And it's very hard to find someone who can understand, but he's already 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, but that's the point. So I think the fuel source in you is you care. You
Yeah.
care about what happens in the world. You care about what happens with women. You care about what happens with ecology, meaning like the actual planet. You care how you're treated. You care. And what I see is that money is energy. And everything's moved. Energy is, we move energy, right? But we can have dirty money.
Yes. Everywhere.
Right? It's very easy to earn dirty money, right? But it comes with, you don't want to be around dirty money,
Because
right?
it's the energy vibrations. You know,
Yes.
you like work with it, but at the end of the day, it's bad money, right? It's
Bad
like,
money. For what reason? For money? Who cares? It's only money. It's just money. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that people don't understand. It's just money, dude. It's not that big of a deal, right? It's like, but the energy that you're bringing to your money is why you've become so successful.
yes, and how you
right?
feel that money, right? So it's like people will say whatever, but yeah, money. We talk about this and we laugh about money, but it's without money, there's nothing, right? So
Money is very important.
you know, the main thing for us is sales. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, we need to drive sales and we need to close deals and we need to every day I think about it. You know, it's not like I have to think about it. And because my clients care and the only thing they want is like me getting the return of investment and said that
Absolutely.
whatever it said that I was going to say that there's going to do, like once the project the money and the capital is invested, they're like I'm the first person to be like, okay, when is the return that you said, what's happening? So of course I need to think about these things, but like money without a purpose, it's nothing. Money without the actual underlying you know environment that will play along in the ecosystem and help the ecosystem grow, it's useless, right? Money without impact is useless, right? And I've seen these huge funds right now. That's what I created capital variation. I was like, okay, this is wrong. Like a lot of the thing, like money that goes from governmental entities like pension funds go to like the same funds all the time, and the same funds are funding the same investments. And I had the dream when I was younger. I was like, how come the pension fund money goes to other countries and that money goes to like fossil fuels and like guns and stuff? Because they're obviously given the return, right? But then there should be like at least a percentage of what fund managers invest into venture investing in SMEs in their country, because it's pension money. It's like you working 35 years. My uncle, my aunties, they're working 35 years. They're saving money for the pensions, and they're essentially
Yeah.
and reinvest in the capital, but they're investing in like other projects that are dealing with fossil fuels and guns. And it's not a secret, like let's be honest, right? So why can they not put like a portion of that into actual SMEs into their own country and then deploy it into the young people who are actually building businesses? Why it's not happening, right? Because they
Why?
control it, right? Who controls it? The government, right? So I said, okay, the only way that I can change is if I build my own infrastructure and I steer the capital myself. So I took sovereign wealth funds, and then I said, this is the project, these are the funds that you should be investing, because it's the people, the young people, the entrepreneurs who are working day to day to make sure that they grow the economy. So why you're not giving the percentage of that into your own people? Oh, you're right. UK Capital now, they have, there is a venture capital fund from the government, VCC. So it's now happening, but there is lots of regulations that are on the way. But it should be like this in every country in the world. Every pension should invest directly into their own people and venture capital for SMEs and fuel the economy, at least a portion.
I
Right?
love and to not do that doesn't even make sense.
Right? But it is happening. They invest somewhere else, and the money goes somewhere else, and then the money just kind of like disappear miraculously.
Yeah. Magic tricks, right? Yeah.
I'll guarantee if I call every single ruler and governor and like president in a room in the White House, and I tell them like, tell me what exactly you did with the pension money last year. No idea. Have no idea where the money went.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, oh yes, the government and the this and it's deployed and blah blah blah, but like they cannot do it themselves because nobody knows and understands what's happening. It goes to the institutions.
Specifically.
Yeah,
Is it specifically going?
yeah.
Right. Right.
Funny, right? It's like it's such an easy math, right? Like give it back to the people in the, but it's hard because there's like politics involved, there's geopolitical issues, there is egos, there is corruption. There's so many things, and it's hard, but it's not impossible. I'm going to do it.
I 1000% support you all the way to the end and believe you. Because what else are you doing?
Yeah.
What else is there to do? What else?
Yeah, I'm going to steer public and private capital into the companies that will change the course of humanity for good.
I love it.
Cost me whatever it costs me. I'll make it happen.
Final words of thoughts, right? What do you want to leave the listeners with today?
Hope.
Hope. Done. I think that's it. I think that's the key word to finish it with. Where can people connect with you? I'm going to have links everywhere and all the rest of it, but where can people connect with you?
I wanted to also talk about, just before we go, capital variation. It's throwing the biggest event of the year, 11th of December.
Yes.
Secret location, but it's going to be amazing. First time in the history of like capital variation, 7 years, we've now built an app, so anybody anywhere in the world can download our app, can go inside, register, and then watch our show. So we're going to build Shark Tank, capital variation. We're going to bring 5 startups, that are going to compete between each other in front of a judge, which is essentially investors. We're going to have 20 people in the audience. They can vote and they can also invest in the startups. So we're going to transmit this live. We're going to have participated, and you could also come as well in person, which you obviously paid for. So I hope that you
I
can
know.
see you there at least. But
I will be there.
yes, 11th of December from 2 p.m. onwards, there's going to be a show. And we're going to present 5 different startups where you can invest as well, if you want. And then we'll transmit that from the heart of Wall Street. First time ever in history.
In the first time in history.
And the location is iconic, but I cannot tell. But it's iconic. I'm telling you. It's going to be iconic.
I am going to be live there.
Yes.
Maybe not live there, but live there. Next time, I can promise you I will be live.
We will do more things, but I promise that this will be the biggest thing ever, because the only way to make impact is if we give access to the people.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah, to everybody.
Yes. So we partner with Ecos TV, which is one of the, it's a startup as well, and they're a broadcasting facility. They've actually created this for the economy of the world, for creator economy, and we're transmitting only like impact stuff, right? So how you actually talk about entrepreneurs, their stories, so people can actually watch things that are actually adding value to them, as opposed to TikToks and all that stuff where, so this is all education. It's an educational platform for creators. And Capital Variation is supporting this application and is going to be investing on that company as well. And then we're going to drag all of our network so we can raise the money that we need, put them in stock exchange, and make it super viral.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
It's huge. Was that your brainchild?
Yeah.
Did that come out of you?
Well, it was a friend. It's a very good friend who's so smart as well. His name is Leon Yang. He's a professor also, but he created the theory of the multi-universe. I will share with you his theory, and he was in a path to win the Nobel Prize this year. So him and I working in synchronicity to build all of these crazy and amazing things together.
That's all for this episode of the Neuro-Performance Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to stay connected, rate, review, and visit andymurphy.online to take the next step towards unlocking your pure potential. See you next time.